Yo, we need to talk about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull right now. Let's just start this off by saying that Donald Trump has said last year, this was on CBC News, that he knows very interesting things about Roswell, New Mexico. And if you don't know what Roswell, New Mexico is, basically in 1947, a group of people say they saw something land and crash, and then there was this alien figure in the actual vehicle, whatever it was, and it was dead. And in the movie, right, in Indiana Jones, it's set in 1957. One of the opening scenes, in fact, the opening scene is in Nevada, right? And on the gate it says 51. So I'm just guessing that's Area 51. And anyway, they meet the Russians, right? And the lady says, 10 years ago, you were on this. You know about this. What is it? Right? And 10 years ago, in the movie, it was 1947. So Indiana Jones, in the movie, was supposedly on that task force. Right? And he said that they went out there and no one knew exactly what it was. They weren't given the proper information. They're all threatened with treason if they spoke about it, which is pretty crazy. And this is just in a movie, so take it as you will, go and watch it as well. But here's the thing, at the end of the movie, they find this big skull, crystal skull, elongated skull alien thing. They said that the alien in the ship was fully made of crystal, alright, which is just nuts. Can you imagine that? A full alien figure made of crystal. And then they go to this temple and they put it onto the last alien. There's 13, and then they get access to almost unlimited consciousness through this thing, through this skull. And basically it says that you get access to, or these aliens have access to, almost psychic powers that we as humans lack. It's very, very underdeveloped. And when you look at the skull, it increases the ability. But that's just a movie. Shit. Anyway, let's get into some more serious shit. More serious shit, I want to read this movie. Well, not this movie. I mean, I guess you could say it's a movie because almost anything's a movie these days, but it's a great paragraph, a great sentence out of what's it called? Dale Carnegie's book. Let me just get it. So, this is great business advice. This is great personal advice. This is from Professor Overstreet. I don't know exactly who this guy is, but this is what he said. First, you got to arouse in the other person an eager want. He who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. Obviously, that's both men and women, but at the end of the day, that's what business comes down to. That's what life comes down to. If you want to make friends, if you want to make business partners, you want to acquire clients, you got to ask them what they want. You got to know what they want. You got to truly understand what they want and what makes them happy, because then you can help them get there. And if you can't, well, then you got to be quick to recognize that and you got to move on. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone's supposed to be in our life. We can't do business with everyone. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I made in the beginning. It's one of the biggest mistakes that so many young entrepreneurs make. Just not understanding that, are we realistically catching an antelope here or field mice? Credits to Tim Ferriss for that question, because it's a banging question. You got to ask that in every day of your life, everything you're doing. Is this something that's actually a big catch? Is this something that's proper? Or is this a little small, little mice, a little rat, something that doesn't matter? And realistically, if you can understand what people want more than them, they're gonna always come to you, and you genuinely have to be interested in them. And then use your expertise, your understanding of marketing or business or whatever it is that you're actually providing product or service. And then you gotta really, really dig in. And, you gotta almost, to an extent, break beliefs and then help people recuperate their own belief system. Because, the only thing that really matters is you understanding and you believing in what you can do, not someone else, not what someone else thinks or not what someone else is telling you to do. So that's why it's really important when you're on the phone with people or you're talking in person, that you listen to them, and if you're a salesperson, right, here's a great piece of advice for you. My mentor said to me, the best salesmen, the best salespeople, the people who sell the most amount or make the most amount of money doing deals are people that talk 1/3 of the time and the other person talks 2/3 of the time, twice as much. You gotta let them talk twice as much as you. 1 minute, 2 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. You know what I mean? Because it's just power. Silence is power, right? And we're not gonna go deep into this today, but at the end of the day, you just gotta understand that reactions in many ways count a lot more than the initial action. And in sports, right, so many players they get in trouble because they're caught in the reaction. Someone does something to rattle them up or get under their skin a little bit, and then they throw an elbow or a punch or some shit, and they get the backlash. They get suspended or they get sent off, or you know what I mean? And it's just like, no, that's not the way you got to do it. You can't show criticism, and you just got to move on. You got to recognize that an empire never ever gets destroyed from the outside. It gets destroyed from the inside. The biggest ones, anyway. Because moles and rats and infections on the inside is what's really going to count. And if you let people get under your skin and get into you and take you out of your zone, and they constantly are in your head and you're thinking about your enemies. Nah, you can't. Hold on. Let me find this. It's a good one. So, here's a great paragraph straight out of the book. Right. It is the individual who is not interested in his fellow men who has the greatest difficulties in life and provides the greatest injury to others. It is from among such individuals that all human failures spring. So when you're not interested in someone else, stuff happens. But here's the thing, you got to be interested in the right people. You can't be interested in every single person, beg your pardon. Right? We need to focus on the right people to begin with and build up our confidence in business, right, in life. And again, we need to focus on the right relationships. And, for me, I was like, man, I've got to talk to 10, 15 people every single day. And, different people, sometimes the same people. But here's the thing, right? When you do that, you lose touch with, the actual proper business world because you're constantly just moving around and you're getting pinballed around. Put it this way, right? In this day and age, in online marketing, in online business, and what we're seeing with COVID, it's just we need to focus on building bridges with the right people, because for a lot of us, we're all online, we're all doing the majority of our work in our business on a computer, on a phone, every single day, hours every single day. You look at the price of Zoom, it's gone up 500%, within the past 12 months. And that's a reason that, So, if we can focus on building up our foundation, getting to that first $1,000 a month, getting to the first $2,000 a month, getting to the first $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, whatever it is, to make you feel stable and comfortable, that's when we can really start to expand, And being a specialist in a niche, right? Not necessarily in a niche, but just being a specialist at something, right? So for us, it's just website sales funnels, building sales funnels. That's, really high in demand. And then on the back end, we market that with organic and paid and owned traffic, right? The three most important traffic principles, right? We want to be able to leverage social media to get people into our business, into our ecosystem, because realistically, at the end of the day, we're just borrowing these platforms, and they're not our platforms. And you look at Facebook, they're getting sued right now. So if they're to be taken off the internet, they got 3-4 billion people on there. That's gonna get rid of them. Right? They also own Instagram, they also own WhatsApp. So these type of platforms as well, they're being sued for a monopoly, and they got to release them. And that's what makes those platforms so powerful. That's what makes Facebook ads and Facebook retargeting and the Facebook pixel so powerful, because you can integrate Instagram and Facebook together. Instagram's like Facebook's little baby brother. Facebook's for almost like the older generation, Instagram's for the newer generation. It's the perfect combination when you look at it. It's fucking genius. Mark Zuckerberg's truly something else, man. Him and Elon Musk are just like way ahead of everything, right? And understanding that these platforms, in a couple of years, they may be off the internet. And if we don't have an asset to continue to market and do business with, we're going to really struggle within the next 5-10 years, within the next decade, because we're just moving more, we're transitioning way more into online, just the online world of, e-commerce, if you want to call it that. And when we can really integrate ourselves with social media, it's a goldmine, mate. It's a proper goldmine. You can reach hundreds, thousands, millions of people even, right? Literally. And, you look at like the D'Amelio family, no one knew who they were before TikTok. And now they're, I want to say set for life, set for generations to come, just properly from social media. And you look at it, it's just crazy. They were just doing dance videos. So many chefs, so many cooks, so many musicians are just springing and popping up. You look at a guy like David Dobrik as well, and there's so much potential out there. Crisis as well creates opportunity, and that's what 2021 is going to be about. It's going to be about creating opportunity for yourself, for your business, for your loved ones, getting in a relationship with someone, getting in relationships with people, maybe fixing a relationship or fixing relationships or breaking off a relationship, because that's where so many problems are, and, again, the most important one is that relationship with yourself. If we cannot have proper relationships with ourselves, if we don't wake up in the morning and are just like, wow, I love being alive, we got issues, man. We got issues, It's a terrible spot to be in. It truly is, because at the end of the day, man, you have to love yourself and love what you're doing and be happy, because happiness is a choice. You're never going to become happy. You can only be happy, right? And social media has almost like kind of grasped us and just kind of rammed a lot of shit down our throat, if you want to say it like that, because it's just showing us that we can have access to anything and anyone. And so many of us want things just overnight. We expect things to come overnight, and it's not going to come overnight. You may get an epiphany moment. You will get an epiphany moment, but the process and the success is not going to just come like that. It's going to come in months. It's going to come in years. Right, but you can get more done in 2 months than most people get done in 2 years if you do shit right. Truly, right? The power of efficiency and the power of the domino effect. And again, focusing on the right opportunities, having the right expectations for yourself and your business and your future, and never looking too far ahead. If we can just focus on 3 and 6 and 9 and 12 months at a time, right? Just quarters, right? Just focus on 6 months at a time. That's it. Right, what can we get done in 6 months? Because in 6 months' time, who knows what we're going to be at? We may be in another heavy lockdown. We may be doing something that we would never think we were ever doing. Something tragic may happen in our life, and I think 2020 was just about us becoming aware of ourselves, becoming aware of our surroundings, and becoming aware of our health, most importantly. Right, because, mate, at the end of the day, if we don't, put it this way, just imagine for a second that life is the biggest game you're ever going to play in your life. The only thing that isn't a game within that life is your health, because if you don't have your health, if you're dead, then you can't play. Think of it like GTA. But you only have one life. So you can do anything, but you just can't die. Right? Or you can't get sick, or you can't break your bones. You can, but it just slows you down. So imagine that the only thing that isn't a game is your health. You can't fuck around with your health when it comes to eating fast food, when it comes to watching bad. I don't want to say bad, but when it comes to eating foods, when it comes to watching things, when it comes to information, when it comes to who you're talking to, who you're spending time with, that's where the pain and the misery starts, man. Because those bad habits and those decisions lead you down a path that you necessarily wouldn't. Because, you can call it peer pressure if you want, but it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. Something's bound to happen. Like, you just can't control everything when you're around people. And that's not always a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, that's fucking fun. But we need to understand that there's the balance. We need to understand that there's a balance. There has to be a balance, because if we go too far one way, then we get out of whack and we lose touch with ourselves and reality and, everything. We tip over, and that's when our health becomes in danger and in jeopardy, both mentally and physically. And those are the two things, mentally and physically, within our health. And those are the only two things that we need to cover. And then from there, everything else is a game, bro. Your business, your life, your relationships, the things you do, your experiences. But the only thing that isn't is your health, because if you're clogged up, if you're stuck and broken inside, then you're going to be projecting that onto people, and you're going to be not always bad, bro. But understand, just be self-aware. Be aware of the situation you're in your business, in your life, with your business partners, with your family, your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your aunts, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. But awareness is always going to trump anything else, because if you're aware of the situation, if you're more aware of the situation than someone else, you can't lose, bro. That's just facts right fucking there. Facts right there. Much love. One love. Peace the fuck out.